I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.
And here we go. And we're back in the hangar. It's episode 9. We got some fun stuff to talk about. The New York Jets. We've got our official season opening game out there. We've heard some stuff going on with the New York Jets in terms of our offensive coordinator. We're going to talk about all that tonight. But first and foremost, go Knicks. They're doing an amazing thing right now. We are going to change it up a little bit. I was expecting to get my guy Antwan on the show with us later on this evening, but I think he wanted to make sure he got on here real quick, chop it up with us, and then get back to the Knicks game. I can't blame him. You know what I'm saying? This is a really good Knicks game right now. I might want to jump off with him when he jumps off, but I digress. We're going to go ahead and talk Jets football tonight, man. We got some good stuff coming out. New York Jets season opener has been decided. It's going to be September 9th. Jets versus 49ers. I've got my own thought processes on it. We'll talk about that again later on. If you're interested in getting in on the call, if there's some time, we're going to go ahead and get you on the chat to go ahead and ask Antwan a question. How he feels about it, what you think about the Jets. You want to chop it up with him a little bit, we're going to make that possible. What's up, Brandon? Appreciate you coming on the channel, man, watching the show. Nothing but love, man. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the man from backstage, Antwan Staley. What's up, Antwan? How you doing, brother?
What's going on?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Living the dream, as they say. Living the dream. You're watching the Knicks game, aren't you?
Yeah, I got it on, but I'm not a Knicks fan, so
I know. But at the end of the day, it's still New York sports, right? Like you're still gonna watch, even if you're not really a fan.
yeah. I mean, I just like to keep up on sports in general. So I mean, I keep up on all sports.
That makes sense. Well, Antoine, I mean, I know I only got you for a little bit of time, brother, so I'm gonna go ahead and just jump right into it, man. I guess first and foremost, I kind of want to get your thoughts on what the New York Jets have done in free agency. Like they've done quite a bit. A lot of individuals have kind of hyped up what they did with the offensive line, with the wide receiver room. But at the end of the day, you've been following these guys for a long time, reporting on them for a long time. How do you feel about what these guys have done thus far in free agency?
I mean, I like what they've done. I mean, you addressed a lot of needs. You came into free agency needing 3 offensive linemen. Obviously, when you let go of Lincoln Tomlinson, I thought they did a good job. I added John Simpson, obviously Tyron Smith, and trade for Morgan Moses, and you didn't dread to get Olo where you did at number 11. I thought that was a really good pick too, because I mean I know a lot of people wanted Brock Bowers, but I just thought that made more sense too, getting Fashanu there simply because you need your left tackle for the future. I feel like the Jets have been kind of, having stopgap uh, at the left tackle position for years, since Robert Saleh got there. Now you got your left tackle for the future, but also now he can sit and learn. And I think he's obviously gonna play at some point. It's just a matter of what that looks like because you look at Tyron Smith's injury history. I mean, he hasn't played a full season since 2015. So
Max.
yeah, you have to look at the perspective as like he's going to play at some point, and when he does play, I think it's going to be hard to get him off the field. But yeah, I thought they did great on the offensive line. Wide receiver, get Mike Williams too. And then the additions, what they did in the draft too. Yeah, I think this has been a really, really good offseason. I think the only team that you could argue that maybe had a better offseason is maybe the Houston Texans. Kind of what they've done. But yeah, I think the Jets are right there in terms of the moves that they've made.
What about that Hassan Reddick addition to already one of the better defensive lines in all of football?
Yeah, you trade for him. I mean, essentially traded Bryce Huff for him. So I definitely think Huff, had a really good year, but Reddick has been more of a proven product there. So to have him, even if it's just for a year, I definitely think that'll be a big addition too. I still have questions on their defensive line. Losing John Franklin Myers there, trading him to Denver. I think that was a big move there. So I'm still concerned about that, and also the run defense too. I mean, run defense. I think a lot of that had to do with their inept offense last year, and they kind of got tired, but also let up some explosive plays at times too.
Yeah, all really good facts, right? I think that in terms of the JFM thing kind of took me off guard when it was announced on draft night. I feel
Yeah.
like the compensation that we got back for him too just didn't bring the value in terms of what this dude could have brought to this defensive line on a year where you're supposed to be all in. A big surprise. It seems like a lot of individuals. So you weren't even tracking or seeing that coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, well, I think his tweet kind of set me off too. Where you look at
Okay.
his where he
I remember that.
where he was talking about how starting over again basically, and I was like, huh? And then that kind of let me know that either he might be released or get traded. But yeah, I thought it might have happened earlier in the offseason because I thought he had a big number cap wise, and I figured like they could either release him or try to get him to negotiate it down. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm not surprised they moved on from him. I'm surprised that probably the timing of it was a little bit unexpected.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right. Well, that trade happened to happen during the draft that night, but the New York Jets did what a lot of individuals, I personally being one of them, thought was a pretty good job in terms of the NFL draft and filling some needs, shoring up that offensive line and adding another weapon for Aaron Rodgers in the draft. But with that being said, what are your thoughts on what the New York Jets did in the draft this offseason?
Well, I kind of tell Fashido a little bit, but yeah, I like what they did. I added Malachi Corley. I definitely think, that was a big time move. He is one of my favorite wide receivers coming into the draft. And,
Yep.
I told people like consistently, they were like, well, you can't get a wide receiver in round 3 that's going to make an impact. I was like, that's not true because I feel like there was a number of wide receivers that you could draft that could, make an impact there. This was a deep wide receiver class. I think you saw that in the draft. And then Corley was one of the best there. I definitely think had he went to a major school, he probably would have been, at least, second round pick, maybe, maybe even slide into round 1 too,
Yep.
especially with what he was able to do there at West Kentucky. Yeah, to get him, obviously, get Allen, get Davis to the 2 running backs, and also Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis, like I knew it was somebody that was on their radar. I had mentioned him in several other conversations as far as uh, group chats or whatever spaces. So yeah, I definitely think getting the third quarterback was vital on that roster. Considering you got Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury, you got Tyrod Taylor, who's also has a substantial injury history too. So I felt like getting a third quarterback and a developmental quarterback in Jordan Travis was big.
Yeah, I love the Jordan Travis pick. I was one of the individuals that watched a lot of tape on Jordan Travis because I was told that it would be a bad move by the Jets to grab somebody that needed so much work in terms of his mechanics and his limited arm strength. And I had to go back and watch a lot of film in regards to like what was I missing from watching highlight tape or watching him play at FSU. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe I'm missing something. Then you go back and you watch it again and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand the hate for this kid. I really believe had Jordan Travis not broken his ankle, he's gone by the second round. I don't think he gets out of the second round of this draft.
Yeah, I think he's a day 2 pick. I think it's still some questions about him being undersized and his lack of arm strength was a bit of a question too. But I definitely think the way he's done the last couple of years at Florida State, I definitely think was warranted of at least a day 2 pick. Had he not gotten injured, at least for me, because him, along with some other players on that Florida State roster, really helped that team come of age. And then,
Facts.
I definitely think, Jermaine Johnson was part of the team, even though they finished 5-7 in 2021. I definitely think that was kind of the beginning of their emergence back into college football, at least, the big picture of things.
Okay. Actually, I got a question for you from the viewers here. Armand hit us with, were you surprised that the Jets did not double dip at wide receiver in the draft?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think they could have, but you already have 2 younger guys there, and Xavier Gibson and Jason Brownlee, who they really like as well. And you had that with Corley. You still got Alan Lazar on the roster, who I know a lot of people aren't very, high on him considering what happened last year. But you got to pay the man $10 million anyway. He's going to be on your roster no matter what. So you might as well just accept the facts that he's going to be there. You hope that Aaron can help bring out the best in him now that he's back fully healthy there. And then obviously you picked up Mike Williams and you got Garrett Wilson and you got Irv Charles there too, who are also a special teams guy. So essentially they're going to have 7 wide receivers, technically on the roster because Irv Charles, I think, is going to take over Justin Hardy's role on special teams too as well. So yeah, I don't think they have enough room for another wide receiver, although I think a lot of people say it's a need, but who do you get rid of? Do you get rid of, Xavier Gibson and Brownlee? You're not getting rid of Alan Lazar because nobody's going to take that. Nobody's going to take that contract off.
That's facts. So then, what about the option of potentially going another offensive lineman? I felt like when they drafted the second running back in Davis, there were
Yes.
some good interior offensive linemen still on the board, right? Guys that were supposed to go earlier that had dropped down the boards. What do you think about them potentially having taken that route, vice that second running back?
I still think they could add some more depth still on the offensive line too. I still think Connor McGovern might be a name that you could see come back too. I think they think him being backing up Joe Tippin. I think that would be a
Oh, nice.
really solid signing too as well. And then not for nothing, you still got Carter Warren there. You still got Max Mitchell. I don't know if they're going to keep both of those guys, simply because you took Fashanu there in the first round. So
That's true.
essentially he's your backup tackle, left tackle or right tackle, depending on if somebody with an injury would have suffered there with Morgan Moses. And then you still have Carter Warren. I think they're pretty high on him. They just weren't able to see enough of him. And then again, Max Mitchell might be the odd man out. So I definitely think I think they have a good depth there, but I think they could add another piece or two to kind of help with that as well. But you'll see some moves there. Maybe not necessarily now, but I could see during training camp, depending on what happens there.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, I think the interior offensive line question is a very good one. I felt like, again, a guy like Mahogany that just kept dropping down the board. I don't understand why he kept dropping, but I was really, really high on him, passing up on that. But I mean, overall, in terms of everything you've just seen from the Jets, right? In terms of the offseason, in terms of the draft, how would you grade what the Jets have done, what I'm saying, since the beginning of the offseason to now?
If I'm giving a grade, I mean, I would say probably about an A.
Okay.
I think
Nice.
they've done a good job. I think they used the foresight to go get a fashion from Penn State to address the needs at wide receiver. And also, I think to fill the holes on the offensive line. Because when free agency started, I was like, man, I don't know, man. Like
Yeah.
you got to fill 3 holes on the offensive line. Like, and you got some, depth issues there too as well. And then you have
And
other needs.
the cap
Yeah,
concerns, restraints. I was
exactly.
shocked.
Yeah, so I thought they did, considering what they had available as far as money wise and everything like that. I think they did a tremendous job. So you got to give Joe Douglas and Robert Sala and everybody in the organization credit for that.
Okay. Well, with that said, then how would you stack up the New York Jets with the rest of the AFC East?
I mean, I still think Buffalo's the team to beat. Now, I know Buffalo has some questions there, so they let a lot of people go defensively. Most notably the safeties of Michael Hyde, Jordan Poyer there, some other names too as well. And obviously Stephon Diggs is the big one offensively. But for me, I don't think they really weren't using Stephon Diggs a lot anyway late last season. I mean, you look at his usage percentage, compared to what it was the first half of the season. They kind of relied more on running the football with Joe Brady once he took over for Ken Dorsey as the
Yeah.
offensive coordinator, which coincidentally or not happened in the second Jets Bills game where the Bills just flat out put it on them. That's basically what it is. But I don't know if they were not prepared for the running game, but I was, and I was like, when Joe Brady took over, I was like, they're going to run the ball more. But yeah, I still think Buffalo, because Josh Allen is at least the top 3 quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
I think you have to still put them there. One thing the Jets do well, they play him particularly well outside of that one game last year where the Bills really ran the score up on them, and it was a lot of extracurricular activities after the game. But yeah, I definitely think the Jets could be a playoff team. I think them and the Dolphins are going to be jockeying for that wild card spot. I think Miami, they have some questions to answer too. I'm not as high on the roster as some of my former colleagues that covered the Dolphins when I was there are. They believe that the Dolphins roster is better than what it was last year. I don't see that, especially with the losses that they had
Right.
defensively. Yeah, I think they have a ton of questions. They're going to be able to score points, but can they stop anybody? I think that remains to be seen. So I definitely think the Jets could potentially get one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, I listen. I have a lot of friends and family that are Dolphins fans, and my brothers and sisters are being realistic in regards to their concerns. But there's a lot of individuals who felt somehow they got better. And I understand the thought processes. They've added more depth, but you've added a lot of depth players, but lost some stars. Robert Hunt was a stud on your team.
Correct.
Freaking, you lost
Christian
wow,
Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins. Yeah, stud, top defensive tackle in the league is gone. Like, you don't get better by replacing those guys with a bunch of average guys. Like, that's not how that works. But there's a lot of individuals who feel as if like they've somehow gotten better because they've added more depth, man. I think the Dolphins at the best, they've stayed the same. At worst, I think they've taken a step backwards.
And I think now the Jets are going to run into this problem too, but a year from now. But now the Dolphins have to start paying people. You got to pay Tua, you got to pay Jalen Phillips, Jalen Waddle's coming up, Javon Holland's deal is coming up. So yeah, that's why the window when these guys are young is so vital within those 4 or 5 years because you have that they're very cheap and then inexpensive, and then you're able to add in more talent to help fill out the roster. Now, once you start paying Tua and Waddle, and we'll see what happens with Tyreek Hill. He's going to be on the roster, and all these guys. Then you limit the amount of talent that you can add on your team unless it just comes straight from the draft. The Jets, like I said, the Jets will start to face that problem next year. That's why this window is so crucial for them the next couple of years to win and win now, as opposed to you wait after that, then who knows what the team is going to look like from that after 2025.
That's facts. I'm concerned about the fact that we've got the studs in JJ, Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and then Brees Hall a year actually earlier because he was a second rounder, all requiring contract conversations here in this next year. And we have a question here that I think is actually kind of a good one here. It is boom. Here we go. From some sneakers to boots. He wants to ask, when do you think JD will start to entertain the idea of signing Reed or MC2? Think isn't because of his own contract situation. I want him to be proactive for once signing our guys. So yeah, those are two huge question marks. And I think the reason why you saw the Jets go DB and cornerback on the back end of the draft was because there's potentially one of these guys might not be here next year. And if I had to bet money on it, I'd say it's Reed. But what do you think?
That's fair. Like I thought they might have re-up Reed during the offseason, but of course that has not happened. I thought for salary cap purposes because DJ Reed, the Dolphins had the best quarterback tandem in the league for me.
Facts.
Like I don't think, especially now with the Chiefs breaking up their tandem with Snead and McDuffie, I thought that was the best in the league. No disrespect to Sauce or DJ, but those guys, like they especially last year, they played lights out. But now, for sure, it's not even a question that the Jets have the best tandem with Sauce and DJ Reed. And then, so for me, I would keep DJ, and then maybe let Michael Carter go. Although the Jets they do a good job with cornerbacks. I think we kind of saw that, especially the Eagles game where neither one of those guys were available, Sauce and DJ, and they still found a way to win the game somehow. I still don't know how they've won that game, but nevertheless, like they still found a way to win that game. So I think what's saving grace if you're a Jets fan is Tony Odom's there. You hope he remains there, and if he can continue to develop cornerbacks at the rate that he's going, I think you'll be in good shape.
So, in terms of how long you've been covering my kids just walked in, and the dog. My apologies, man. My kids just walked in and the dogs were. What I was trying to say was, in your time covering the New York Jets, you've seen this roster get built, rebuilt a couple of times now. How would you rate this compared to others you've seen in times past since you've been covering the Jets?
Well, this is heading into my third season covering the Jets, so it's pretty much better than it was even last year or 2022. You're just like, okay, maybe this team can start to emerge. Like they won 4 games in 2021, so I figured, like I thought they won 7 or 8 games that year, and that was with Zach. Zach was going to be the starter until he got benched. Last year, I tried to talk myself into them being a playoff team just because they had Aaron. But if you look at it and it's kind of scale it back, the roster was still very flawed. They were relying on, Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton, to be your tackles. And again, that just wasn't realistic, especially considering Dwayne Brown's age and everything like that. And, Becton was solid for a little bit, and then, it just wasn't towards the end. I think this year you just feel a lot more secure about their roster, just up and down. And, they have, some holes, but I think they're not as glaring as what they were a year ago.
So I heard you say this on Jake's show the other day, right? When you talked about, there's some holes and some concerns. Well, I know the safety room is definitely questionable, right? That's something we need to look at. Other than the safety, is there another position group that you're worried about when it comes to this team?
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier with the D line. I definitely think the D line, especially with John Flecker Myers and what he meant to that team, not just as a leader, but the ability to play inside, the ability to play outside too as well. And they talked about Michael Clemens taking a bigger role. That remains to be seen. If he's going to be able to handle that role. Yeah, I'm not sold on that, to be honest with you. Probably it's probably the nicest thing I can say. Maybe he does surprise and come into camp and looks a lot better, but I'm definitely still concerned about the D line a little bit, especially considering the run defense too as well. We talked about that, just the explosive plays that they gave up a year ago.
Okay, well, I think that kind of segues beautifully into this next question. With the concerns you do have with some of those holes, again, the safety position and the defensive line, especially when it comes to the run game, the New York Jets season opener was announced today. They'll be playing the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. How do you feel about the Jets' chances against the 49ers with that gaping hole that you're concerned about in the center for the running game when they got a guy like, in my opinion, the number one running back in football in Christian McCaffrey? We also got the second best guy in Brees Hall. But I digress. What do you think about the Jets facing off against the 49ers?
Yeah, I meant to bring this up too. Like another concern is even coaching too. Like that has nothing to do with the roster, but I think in this matchup you're definitely going to see the teacher versus the student in a way. Like Kyle Shanahan, although him and Robert are about the same age, but still I think Cal might be a little bit younger. But nevertheless, Cal has been there. He's been established as a head coach, been multiple Super Bowl appearances. It's going to be tough because Cal is gonna, put his twist on things. He knows, Robert's tendencies, although, Jeff Albrecht is calling the defensive plays there too. But, he's gonna, do some things that I don't think the Jets are probably gonna be aware of. And that's the thing about, week one matchups. Like you could plan like a long time for those matchups. Like once those matchups get announced, okay, we know who we're facing. We know their personnel. Let's take a month or two and just start game planning like now. Like they don't have to necessarily be on the field with the players and X's and O's, but as a coaching staff, like you're able to formulate some type of game plan that you want to use. Once the
Right.
once it's announced. So yeah, I definitely think you're going to see a lot of wrinkles there from Kyle Shanahan, and he likes to do that, especially using Christian McCaffrey in a variety of ways, not just running the football, but catching the ball out the backfield. I think that's going to be even more of a presence there, trying to stop him, with the ability to catch the ball, especially when you got Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. You have to find out a way to stop him too. And let's be honest, the Jets have not necessarily had the best luck with tight ends at times to do at the change, especially no matter how good their defense is. But this is a whole different animal facing the tight end like that.
Yeah, George Kittle is definitely something different, right? I think when you break it down in terms of the concerns on the back end, I mean, a guy like Quincy having to go ahead and follow George Kittle around an entire game, you start to worry about whether or not he's going to wear down.
I will say this too. Last year they had Sauce on like Kelsey, but you're able to do that because the
That's
Chiefs
true.
didn't have a threat. They really have a
Yeah,
threat offensively.
but
Like
Brandon
you really can't do that now
you can't.
because I mean you could, but then okay, you put Sauce on Kittle. Oh yeah, Brandon Ayuk's available, or Christian
Christian
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey. Yep.
Exactly. So you got all these other matchups. So you got to figure out what you want to do as far as the game plan defensively. I did not envy Jeff Albrecht's job trying to come up with schemes about trying to play game plan against the 49ers. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was definitely team give us a softball to go ahead and open up the season, get everything
Nah.
going. But the
Here's the
more and more I
thing,
think
though.
about it,
Here's
we
the
got
thing,
to
not to
plan.
interrupt you, though.
Go
Not to
ahead, go.
interrupt you real quick. I was just going to say that even if you lose this game, it's not a big deal. It's an NFC opponent. It's on the road. I don't think it's going to necessarily factor in whether you get to the playoffs or not. And then also, like you're playing on week one, so if you're a fan, you would rather play on week one before they get everything ramped up and get the ball rolling, as opposed to
Right.
later on in the season where 49ers might be a well-oiled machine.
That's a good point. That's what I was saying. My initial reaction was like, man, we got to go up against potentially the second best defensive line in all of football with Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old coming off of the Achilles. Then I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, wait, this is the 49ers who historically, or at least the last several years, have gotten off to a slow start, right? By end of September, they start getting back on in a stride, and that might be a worse situation for us in the long run. Like you said, it's an NFC opponent, win or lose. Like we lose it, doesn't really hurt us. Win it, it makes a statement as to the New York Jets potentially being real. That kind of momentum going into week 2 could go a long way as well. So I've gotten over my fear factor of sorts, right? Because again, wanting to kind of ease our guys into it, get them gelling. But at the end of the day, we don't want to give the opportunity as well to go ahead and get to that point. And I mean, like you said, it's early in the season. It's an NFC team. It's a great challenge for our guys. If they lose, doesn't really hurt that much. But if they win, man, the momentum you can get from beating a team like that, right? I think that can carry you into a bit of a winning streak.
Yeah, it's a measure stick game too. I mean, you get to measure see where your team is, and if your team isn't where you need it to be, which more likely is not going to be,
Right.
because it's week 1, and you got a guy that essentially the quarterback that didn't play all last year, except for 4 plays. So,
That's a good point.
I mean, it's going to be some kind of rust there. I mean, you can try to game plan for the preseason, but it's nothing like those live bullets in the regular season. So, I definitely think it'd be a good test for him. So, I think it's a good measuring stick game for him, and yeah, I think this is my prediction. I think Jake had asked me what I predicted. I mentioned the 49ers and Jets playing week 1. And
Yeah.
I think it's a smart move for the NFL. I think it's a smart move for everybody involved. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I thought it'd be on Sunday night instead of Monday night, but it makes sense.
Primetime game. Primetime game.
Yeah.
So then I got a question for you. Do the Jets win or lose this game, in your opinion?
Man, it's way too early for that, man. Like I'm not getting into win and loss predictions. Although I am gonna have to tomorrow my schedule predictions. I'm probably gonna have to pick the game because they have us pick all the games and right after wins losses. So I guess I'll do it. I'll probably say it's a loss, because I think it'll be a good game. Jets defense to keep them in it, but 49ers at home. The energy is gonna be rabid there for their fans, especially considering. Right. Them coming off another Super Bowl bid. But yeah, I definitely think, I'll pick the 49ers to win in a close game by 3 points.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right. Well, I know I only got you for a little bit longer. We got a couple of guys who had a couple of questions for you that are in the back right now. I'm going to bring the first one out. Johnny, you were the first one in the queue. Hang on, Bobby. So, boom, Johnny, how you doing, man? What? Whoa. Why is your...
Of course, we got the Knicks hat on. Like, really?
What's up, Johnny? How you doing, brother?
Doing well. Hey, Ant. Hey, Gunny. How you guys doing tonight? Hey,
what's awesome
segment going on. And first off, and thank you so much for saying about what you're talking about in regards of the Niners game and letting everybody know that, look, even if it is a loss, I mean, it's in the beginning of the year. Get it over with if that even happens. But for me, as a craving fan of the Jets, even if we lose by, let's just say, a touchdown, right, going against the team that was in the Super Bowl last year, it's a huge win. And I think that still puts the Jets and puts the NFL on notice that the Jets are real. But I did have a quick question for you, right, with you being around the team, right, for a long time now, right?
Well, not that long, but no, Rich Chamiti's been there for a long time. I've been there like very minimal as far as 3 years, but go ahead.
Yeah, but you've been around now when we've gotten like the core 4, as we're saying.
The core of our current roster. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. And you being around the guys and kind of knowing what's going on behind closed doors, who would you say is more of the unsung hero that nobody talks about, that is that voice of reasoning in the locker room that you don't really hear about in the actual public eye?
I think DJ Reed is a guy that I think a lot of people gravitate towards. I think John Fletcher Myers was that. He necessarily, you saw it on the field with the stats and all that, but I think what he meant in that locker room, especially on the defensive line, like he was the leader there, and I think you're kind of going to see Quentin take a little bit more of that role there. But I think DJ is more of a quiet type of guy leader there, especially in the secondary too, because he is kind of the elder statesman there. So yeah, I would say DJ Reed for sure.
Awesome. And then my last question: who's your favorite New York Jet on the current roster?
You mean just to talk to? Or I don't have necessarily a favorite. I really don't have a favorite player, but just to talk to. I mean, I like talking to DJ. I like talking to Jermaine. Got to know him a little bit. Garrett is always cool. I mean, I think it's a really good locker room. I really do. I think it's, I don't think it's really any bad apples in there. I mean, despite, what things have been said within the organization. Like, I won't get it too much into that, but yeah, I think it's overall, I think the locker room is really, really good.
Awesome. I appreciate your time, man, and we appreciate you coming, man. You're doing your thing, man. So look forward to seeing you on the One Just Drive shows and everything on there. So
Well,
look
apparently
forward.
I've been on there all year, so I mean, every episode I'm on there. So for whatever reasons, they like me or they like the
Hey,
questions I ask.
hey, it's because you're shining on them. That's why, man. So
Oh
I
God,
appreciate you again, man.
because I already watched the show and I'm like, I guess I was on there last night because somebody will tweet me and tell me I'm on there.
Yeah. Well, go Knicks because you said something about the hat.
Yeah, I'm not a Knicks. I'm a Miami Heat guy, so I'm sorry.
I know. I remember you saying that a while back. So as soon as I saw you, I was like, let me go put on this hat real quick.
Of course,
I'm not even watching the game because I'm so nervous in regards of that. So
you should be very happy right
You should
now.
be very happy right now.
Yeah,
I am, but that's the reasoning why I'm not watching it.
I got you. A little superstitious. I'm all about that. You stay your ass off that freaking screen, Dan. We're doing really good right now.
I am, dude. I am. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Have a good night.
You got
Pleasure
time for
meeting you.
One more, Ant?
Yeah, that's fine. I was just gonna say real quick, I think, I saw today, like people were talking about, the Jets and, they're playing the 49ers. And I saw somebody mention and even Mike Greenberg from ESPN mentioned that Aaron Rodgers should play. I mean, that's loser
insane.
mentality, man.
Isn't it though?
You're playing to win. Like seriously, like you're trying to win a championship. You're trying to establish a culture within the organization. And if Robert saw like, Aaron Rodgers not going to play against the 49ers. Like, you think the players would respect him in that locker room? Absolutely not. Like, you think I'm gonna run through a wall for a man that is going to say, we're gonna punt on this game and we'll just get ready for week 2.
I saw that flash across Twitter, and I saw Greenberg do his thing and on his skit, and I'm like, what are we doing right now? Don't play him in a Rodgers. Let him stay home. Did we bring the guy in here to go ahead and make us competitive or not? I mean, I get it. Injuries are part of the game. It's concerning going up against that defensive line, but he's going to have to get hit at some point this season.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? He's not going to make it through the full season not getting hit. So to me, it's such loser mentality. I'm with you on that. When I saw that shit, and it agitated me across the board, seeing, and it wasn't just a couple of people. Several people were saying, man, we need to keep Aaron Rodgers out of that game. What are we talking about?
Yeah, what are we doing here? Like, seriously, like. But anyway, like, what's the last question? Like, we'll go ahead and answer that.
All right, Bobby, thank you.
Hey, Antwan, this is my first time talking to you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet. Like, I just feel like y'all putting on all the teams that I don't like. Y'all just writing people on there versus the Knicks and now the Yankees.
Bobby always rocks.
You're not gonna like my answer. You're really not gonna. The arch nemesis.
What is the option? Red Sox?
Yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan. Yeah.
Oh God, why you a Red? Are you from Boston area?
No, I'm from North Carolina originally, but my first job out of college was in Boston, and I worked for the Boston Globe. Yeah,
that's fine. Hey, you work for One Jets Drive?
No, I don't work for One Jets. Maybe I should, but
I don't. You might as well.
Today, I got to meet Caroline today for the first time.
Yeah, those people are cool.
Beautiful. Oh my God, I have a crush on her. So yeah, I think the Jets are gonna win the game. Hi, Gunny. I didn't say hi to you.
Nah, what's up, Bobby? You doing good, brother? You good, man?
So the Jets are gonna win because I think they're gonna take care of Purdy. He's pretty good, but he's gonna be pretty bad the first game of the year. He's going down. He's going to eat turf like 10 times and then throw like 3 interceptions. And then the Sauce is going to get 2 of them and maybe we get 1 of them. And then the Jets will win. I predict 28.
Did you have a question for Ant?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's what I think the Jets record is going to be 12-5. What about you?
You said the final record?
Yeah. That's my
if I had to predict, I would say 10-7 because I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying too. I think it may take some time for them to develop and gel, but once I think they get going offensively, assuming no injuries, of course, I think they're going to be really, really good.
About Aaron Rodgers, I think that he's going to make really good.
I'm not necessarily worried about him. I'm worried about other people. I'm worried the chemistry that he gains with everybody. Because essentially, you're going to start all over. You're starting all over that again. Because he was, again, after training camp, it was like he didn't play, essentially, although he did practice with the team.
They're going to be horrible.
But yeah, I think 10. I think, and then the schedule's tough too. I mean, it's not necessarily an easy schedule.
They got an easy schedule after that. Who else is hard on that?
People keep saying that, but the majority of the individuals, I think we have the 8th strength of schedule this season right now. People keep saying it's an easy schedule, and I don't know where they're getting that from. We got the 8th strength of schedule.
What games you think it's going to be hard for what teams?
I don't say they won't be hard for them to win, but I think, obviously, I expect them to split with Buffalo probably. Miami probably the same, I would think. Obviously, you better sweep the Patriots. You better sweep the Patriots. I tell you that right now.
Couldn't agree with you more, Ant. Couldn't agree with you more.
You're from Boston, so I have to tell you.
You better sweep the Patriots because games like that are the ones that keeps you out of the playoffs. Like if you lose games like that.
Arizona.
Yeah, I would hope so. Although, the Cardinals are a team on the come up a little bit, so I'm curious to see what they look like.
Could be sneaky.
They could be sneaky. Though. They don't have a good quarterback.
Kyler Murray is no chump.
Kyler Murray is not.
He's got hurt a lot. Isn't he hurt all the time?
He came off with a ACL injury. He's dynamic. He's a playmaker with his legs.
I like the guy, but he gets hurt a lot.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be easy, but yeah, I think 10 wins, wild card, and then if you get into the tournament, you get into the playoffs, then anything can happen. So I definitely think that's kind of what I see them in.
I'm a Giant fan. I'm saying they're going to the Super
Bowl. The Jets?
Yeah, Jets are going to the Super Bowl.
I think it's gonna be. It's tough. It's tough, man. Like I think they go from a team that hadn't made the playoffs in 13 years to a team that gets the Super Bowl.
It happened.
The Lions, have did a little bit like that. So I think I can see them get
their coach. They have a good coach, though. They had the guy who used to play for the Giants,
Dan Campbell. I was down there in Miami when he was the interim coach, so I love Dan Campbell.
Yeah, right. That's where he started. I remember that. He took over Gase, right? Gase, Mr. Fish Eyes, or something.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you go next quarter, Gunny.
Appreciate you, Bobby.
All right, Bobby, take it easy.
I'll behave myself. Okay, now. Have a great night, guys.
Nice
meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah, Bobby's a great one. He's gotten really popular with Jets content creators, man. He jumps on. Huge Giants fan. His brother's a Jets fan, so he supports. So appreciate you, Bobby. Appreciate you, Giants, for coming on. But Antwan, appreciate you, brother. I know I said I was going to take 30 minutes of your time. I'm 7 minutes over. My bad. Hey, listen, love the stuff you put out, man. Do you want to tell the people anything or where they can track you? I've left all your stuff in the description. But anything special we should be looking forward to?
Other than the schedule release tomorrow, which I'm sure everybody be glued on to, but just find my work at the New York Daily News. Also find me at Antwan Staley on all social media platforms, and yeah, that's really about it. But I appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you, Ant. You have a good night, brother.
You take good. You be good.
You too. Hey, what's up, B-Mac? I see you in the backdrop there, man. I'm going to bring you on here in a second. Yeah, man. So there it is, man. We just had Antwan Staley. I appreciate him for his time. Great questions, guys. I'm going to try to get more guests like Antwan on the show, working on a guy for next week. I got to give him a call after this and see if he's going to be able to make it. But, ultimately, I think a lot of what he said is promising, man. You're talking about a Jets roster that he's seen go from expansion level talent to what it is now for the last freaking 3 years. And that's high praise to be hearing right now in terms of what he believes. Now, I do think 10-7 is more so the floor of this team. But let me go ahead and bring B-Mac on, man. I kind of want to get an idea of what some of you Jets fans think about, the Jets' overall record. We don't know what the schedule looks like, but we at least know who the opponents are going to be. B-Mac, my man, how you doing, Doug?
Hey, Gunny. Finally, it's been a pleasure to finally jump on with you. I've been on the rest of the Jets content people.
Oh yeah, I know you, B-Mac. I've seen you all over the place.
Yeah.
On the background also. I appreciate that.
Yeah. The TV. I got the New York Knicks on right now.
Yeah.
So they're playing right now. So in the background there. But yeah, you know, Jay Greenbean. I've been on with Paul. I've been on with Jets Chaos. I've been on with all the Jets legends.
Yeah,
So
man, you got a resume.
and then finally here with you. So
Hey,
um
I appreciate you for getting on.
yeah, thanks, man. Well, you know, I'm a Packer fan. You know what I mean, but
Yeah, my wife's a Packer fan.
I do like the Jets as my second team because AR8. You know what I mean.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and then when Favre went to the Jets, I was rooting for the Jets too. So you know what I mean.
I appreciate
So
that.
it seems like go ahead.
So, what are your expectations for the Jets this year? What do you think they can potentially accomplish with what you've seen this offseason with this roster?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think y'all are gonna really have a good year, man. I do. I like what y'all did in the draft. Um, I think y'all drafted for depth. You know what I mean? Because you got like a whole bunch of talent right now on the team. So I like the wide receiver that y'all got. He reminds me of like a prime Randall Cobb. You know what I mean? How Randall Cobb was in this prime. So I did like that, and I did like y'all. That Buzel that running back y'all got, man, from Wisconsin, man. Like he's
Oh,
really good.
yeah. Braylon
Yeah.
Allen,
Yeah, Brady. Yeah,
Agent
man.
Zero.
Yeah, he's kind of like again. He kind of reminds me of a more muscular AJ Dillon. And then y'all got what you got? Yeah, man. And then y'all got the second running back too. Y'all got so I think y'all had a good solid draft, man. And I think y'all gonna do some good things this year. I think y'all gonna win the division. You know,
Ooh,
assuming
like that.
everyone's healthy. You know what I
Like that.
mean?
Yeah.
Assuming you know, knock on wood. You know what I mean? And then I think y'all gonna win about 11, 12 games um, at minimum. And then I think that's enough for y'all to get to the playoffs and make some noise, man. And once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. So, but yeah,
Yeah, man. Okay, Bobby. I appreciate that, man. I truly do, man. I thank you for coming on to the show, brother.
yeah. I do got some questions for you
What's going to be?
because
Hit me.
there's no shocking with Rodgers and the Jets. There's gonna be hot takes. There's gonna be things you see on social media. There's gonna be things you see from these you know YouTube people, podcasts, the kind of Cowherds, kind of stuff. But I don't get this negative like juice around this team, especially from Jet fans. Like, Jet fans saying that they shouldn't put Rodgers in, send him out. Or Jet fans are saying that Rodgers is gonna get hurt again and play five this time. Like, do you think Rodgers is gonna get hurt again on the full play again, or do you think or do you think like him doing that is getting struck by lightning? You know what I mean? Like you don't see that happen.
Yeah, no, if I'm being honest, man, I think that a lot of Jets fans right now, they're just struggling from PTSD. That's what I want to call it. I think that when you look at what's happened to us year in and year out, right? Like even again, like you said, the Brett Favre years when he came over here, we went on an incredible run, right? We were set to go ahead and win the AFC East on the trajectory we were going. He gets hurt, right? Again, destroys the entire season. We've been in quarterback purgatory for what seems like forever. So I think there's legitimate fear and concern. I don't believe he's going to get hurt again. Aaron Rodgers, prior to this Achilles injury, has been a guy who's relatively played every season. He has one other year where he's missed an entire year due to I want to say it was was it an ACL tear maybe?
The collarbone. He broke his collarbone in
That's right, collarbone.
2017, and
Exactly.
then he broke his collarbone again in 2013. But that was the year that he came back at the last game against the Bears, beat the Bears, and won the division, and got us in
That's
the
right.
playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah,
And so it's not as if like, this is over a 20-year career, man. The guy plays ball. Like he's missed he's missed 3 seasons. So I wouldn't
yeah,
consider him to be an injury prone guy. I see you back there, sneakers to boots. I'll bring you on in a second. I think that ultimately though the fear factor is why the majority of Jets fans are being pessimistic. But no, if
yeah.
you had to ask me, I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to get injured this year, right? I think at 40 years old, you do have some concerns, but this is a guy who's a high IQ quarterback. He throws the ball still like he's 20 something years old. That arm strength hasn't diminished. His IQ has only gotten better, seeing more things. I don't expect him to be as mobile as he once was. I don't expect him to go ahead and be that guy that's going to be sprinting for first downs and whatnot. I think he has to kind of mold his game more so towards that of a pocket quarterback. And I believe he's got not only the arm talent to do so, but the IQ to do so. So for me, I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to get hurt again. He's not going to pop an Achilles again. I mean, knock on wood. Again, an Achilles is one of the most it's one of the oddest like injuries, right? They say you really don't know when it's going to happen and why it happens. Like some people, where you're looking at them getting hit, they should have popped an Achilles, but they don't, right? The human body is weird. But no, I don't believe we're going to go ahead and see Aaron Rodgers go down again in game one. I think he'll play the full season. I have more concerns about our offensive linemen staying healthy than I do Aaron Rodgers staying healthy this season.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right, man. And Achilles injuries, look, man, like, we seen the famous ones have it. Kobe had it. Dan Marino had it.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins had it. Kevin Durant had it. It's just, yeah, man. Like, something about the Jets, man. It's just like I said. It was just the right place, wrong time, and that wrong time. I mean, and I think he had a calf issue. I think that was on the same leg too in training camp.
Yep.
So I think when you calf, because Dr. Cho was on Jake's show, and he's he's a famous NFL doctor, and he said when you calf, we have a calf strain, sooner or later it's gonna get down. And it's gonna make your Achilles go at some point. So it was just a freak play. I'm with you, and I'm hoping for the best, especially health wise, not just Rodgers, but for Breece Hall and for Garrett Wilson. Hopefully those guys can stay healthy. Hopefully Mike Williams. I do want to get your opinion on Allen Lazard before I go real quick. Sure. Me being a Packer fan, look, I know Allen Lazard was bad last year for y'all. I seen y'all games, but you gotta remember, with Rodgers on the field, he can produce. And I seen this guy make crazy catches, crazy touchdowns that kind of have you falling out of your seat. Like, how did he make that catch? So hopefully, with Rodgers there healthily, I think Allen Lazard can produce and at least be a number 4 wide receiver for y'all at worst. Number 4.
Yeah, no, listen, Allen Lazard did not win a lot of Jets fans over with how it played out last year. I think, in fact, the majority of us look at it more so as he quit on the team, so much so that they just had to go ahead and bench him. But this is a guy who, for the first time in his career, goes from playing with an Aaron Rodgers to Zach Wilson and friends, right? So I think the frustration kind of boiled over, and he let it seep through. It wasn't his proudest moment, but Aaron Rodgers is back. And with Aaron Rodgers, this is a guy that was catching 700-plus yards, 7 touchdowns in a season. And that's our wide receiver 4. Like you just said, this isn't wide receiver 1, 2, or 3. This is wide receiver 4. And you have a hard time finding a wide receiver 4 that's good for 707 TDs in a season. We know that he can do that. And he's going to be able to go ahead and not have to worry about facing up against, cornerback 1s, cornerback 2s. He's going up against a 3rd or 4th guy when he's on the field. That's also going to be a benefit to his skill set. And I also love Lazard when it comes to the run game. He's going to, I think, be an impact blocker for a guy like a Breece Hall. So I am not mad about Allen Lazard being wide receiver 4. But how we come into this season as him being wide receiver 2, I would have been thoroughly upset with that decision, but we've negated that. Not going to be a problem. So I'm okay with Lazard as wide receiver 4. I think a lot of Jets fans just, hey, listen, last year you kind of made your bed, you got to lay in it, so there's some hate and discontent for him. But score a couple of touchdowns for the Jets. I think we'll be okay after we watch him go ahead and make some plays.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, man. So, and then of course you got your tight ends, and I think you have enough on offense to get by. And like I said, as good as the Jets defense can be, if you y'all don't need to score 40 points to win games. Like, no. I think if y'all can score 20 to 24 to 27, like Rodgers, and Jake keep bring this up too. And me being a Packer fan, we know this. Rodgers career, his record is 80-10 when his defense gets up 21 or less
Or
points.
less. Yep.
So so if you just like if Rodgers can
And the
put
last
up
time
24
his defense
points,
did that, y'all won a Super Bowl, by the way. The last time
yes, we
his
won a
defense
Super
did
Bowl.
that, y'all won a Super Bowl. So
against we had the best defense in the league. Charles Woodson and I think this defense is better than the defense we had back then. But man, I'm looking forward to this season for both of our teams, and hopefully we can get a Jets and Packers Super Bowl, man. You know what I mean? Jordan Love was. Yeah, I'm going with the Packers.
I understand that. I'm gonna go with the Jets. That makes sense.
But I do hope that it's a shootout. You know what I mean? Like let's say 33-30. But y'all just come up just short. But it's gonna be one of them games. You know what I mean?
Hey, B Mac, I appreciate you coming on, brother. You're
All right,
welcome
man.
anytime, man.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, sneakers to boots. What's up, my guy? How you doing?
What's going on, Gunny? How are you?
I'm living the dream, bro. I'm living the dream. We're sitting here talking Jets football. We're excited about our roster. We're talking about the Jets being compared to some of the best rosters in the NFL. I feel great. I feel great. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. We're less than 23 hours until the schedule comes out. So, yeah, and then we're going to be shaking the magic 8 ball for every game to see what the hell we're going to get. So, because the Jets are a damn roller coaster, as we all know. So
it's how we live our lives. It's how we live our lives.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, man, like I've been introduced to this team, this organization, and are losing weight since I was 6 years old. That's when far as back as I remember, that was that 1998 season when Garrison Hurst took that 96-yard touchdown run in overtime. That is one of my printed memories from when I was a little kid. And I remember Glenn Foley was chucking the ball. We actually ended up tying that game 30-30 going into overtime. And then, the rest is history. But we did actually end up going to the AFC Championship game that year. So not all bad. Not all bad.
That's a plus. That's a plus.
Yeah. So I want to get your take on Joe Douglas, right? Like, I mean, obviously revisionist history, like everyone's kind of super happy with what he's done, as am I, especially with the draft and free agency. But I still don't think that he's done, and I hope he's not done because there's still a lot of things I think he needs to be aware of, like the interior offensive line. I think the cornerbacks, like I mentioned before, but I want to see his proactiveness, and I just I don't want us to start building a statue for him for all of the shit that we went through last year. Sorry for cursing, but it's just the shit we went through last year, man. Like it's inexcusable. Like it was a complete fireable offense. I was on that train, man. I was on the train of firing Joe Douglas. I was on the train of firing Robert Saleh. Like obviously, I was completely emotional, right? Like it's just felt like we gave up. It felt like the Jet fans were giving up on for all that we've done for this organization, and we just felt a certain type of way.
So, all right. So this, and I think I'm one of the individuals that would understand if the decision was to give him a contract extension. But I also would understand if they chose to let him go because the results just weren't there, right? Like I think that this roster in general it's pretty well put together, man. Like it's going to be very difficult for him to make it better. I mean, I guess you could say he could add more depth on the interior offensive line. Antwan feels the defensive line could use a little bit more love, specifically when it comes to the run stoppers in the middle of it. And the more I think about it, I'm like, we did lose JFM. That does make a lot of sense. Can Kinlaw potentially fill that void? I don't know. Some question marks there, but let's talk about this, man. Aaron Rodgers chose to be a New York Jet, right? Like he chose to be a New York Jet, and he stated he loved the culture that he saw with New York, and he loved the talent that he saw on this team. This wasn't somebody that got traded against his will. Like Brett Favre, we did get him, but we had to trade for him, and at times it didn't feel like he wanted to be there. Obviously, the first chance he got, he ran to Minnesota to go ahead and just stick it to the Packers by playing as one of their division rivals. I accredit that to Joe Douglas. I look at the talent we have now coming from the expansion level talent that we did have, and we have, again, arguably one of the top rosters in the NFL. If it's me, if it's me, I'm giving the man an extension. I'm not giving him a 10-year contract, but I'm gonna give him a 2-year extension, right? Just enough to see the Aaron Rodgers effect go to like play out, and then to give him a chance at another quarterback. And however that plays out for him, so be it. Is it Jordan Travis? Could Jordan Travis be the guy that steps in after Aaron Rodgers? We don't know. Hopefully, we don't have to find out until 2 years from now. But in terms of competent effort made, right? Last year, I think it was a debacle in terms of how he chose to stick with Zach Wilson as QB2. I get that. I feel the pain of Jets fans. It doesn't make any sense to me. I really feel like there was more to it that's behind the scenes that we don't know about. In a year where you're all in, you didn't think to go ahead and potentially get a legitimate backup for your quarterback. Like it just seems very odd. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't seem very Joe Douglas like over the last few years. So I think there's more to that than we're privy to, and that's fine. But other than that debacle, right? I think he fixed that this season, realizing like, okay, I got to go ahead and do what I got to do to get this team ready. Even if we had a healthy Aaron Rodgers last year, I think we all found out that there were holes on that roster that we just weren't prepared to admit to ourselves. He went out. He could have sat back this offseason and just said, okay, we're gonna get Aaron Rodgers back, and then we're gonna draft. And the team would be better than it was last year. Let's be honest. Aaron Rodgers would equate to maybe 3 more wins last year by himself had he been healthy. But he chose to reinforce the offensive line, chose to reinforce the wide receiver room. And to me, that shows growth. So for me, I think I am team keep Joe Douglas. I think this season, even if the season goes to shit, I think that falls on Saleh. If Saleh can't go ahead and win with this roster, man, I don't know if being an NFL head coach is his ability. Great defensive mind. There's no denying that, right? But if he can't win with this roster, man, like if you can't break the playoff drought with this roster, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, there's a couple of concerns in terms of safety, interior offensive line, and potentially interior defensive line. But in terms of what he has to work with, man, I don't know. I know in my lifetime since '96, I don't think we've ever had a team this good in terms of roster, in terms of talent. It's insane to me.
No, I mean those are awesome points, and I completely agree with you. It's not that I want Joe Douglas fired, right? That's not what I'm trying to get at. It's just last year was just like there had to be something behind the curtain. Like I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall because Rex Hogan, I think he had a hand in there more than we think. Just based upon how Joe Douglas has addressed this offseason, completely different, right? Like we went into the season until week 1, basically, we didn't even know who the hell was starting on our offensive line for 2 positions. It felt
Facts.
like what are we doing? Like, come on. Like injury prone left tackle Mekhi Becton, 40 like nearly a 40-year-old hurt player in Dwayne Brown. I mean, he's a warrior, obviously. I don't want to take anything away from him. But it's just the lack of foresight on that was just it was just mind-boggling. And
I
like
couldn't agree
anybody
with you
could have
more.
seen it from
Yeah.
a mile away. But I think he's definitely changed his draft positioning, right? Like we all want, like a lot of people wanted the weapon, but I was team O line the entire
Same
way.
here.
Like
Same here.
he's done an amazing, delicate balance of prioritizing the now in an all win year, but also putting
Preserving the future.
yeah,
Yep.
preserving the future, right? Like he basically went in there and said, "What is the absolute worst when shit hits the fan that could destroy this team?" And it's Aaron Rodgers getting hurt, right? But what is that going to come to? That's going to mean your offensive line is a sieve basically, and there's holes everywhere. Left tackle, let's go. So, and it's the purest pass protector that was in the draft. Yeah, he's going to have some issues in the run game, but he's going to learn behind Morgan Moses. He's going to learn behind Tyron Smith. And you got to remember, too, he's also going to be practicing majority of the time, if not all the time, because Tyron Smith is going to be. He's going to be sipping pina coladas on the sideline watching during practice. Like he's just going to be hanging out. Like
That's
just
a good point.
right. Like he's going to be hanging out. So he's going to be getting all that iron on sharpens iron, right? Against Hassan Reddick, against Jermaine Johnson, against Will McDonald, who he's going to have a better year. So I think he's done an awesome job. It's just I want him to be proactive in signing our guys, right? Like when he took him forever to sign Quinnen, and we wanted him to sign Quinnen. I mean, he did get him at a good deal. It's just we want to see our guys get paid, and he's built an amazing roster, and it's 100% on Salah this year. Joe Douglas has built the best roster that we've seen since 1996, 1998, right? 1999. Yeah, the 2010 was great. 2009 was great, but we had a rookie quarterback, and our defense it had some issues at getting after the passer with a 4-man rush. So we had to basically make pressure with our linebackers coming off the edge and stuff. So Salah has to get our asses fired up. That's all I'm going to say, because he is absolutely trash in the first quarter. We always come out flat, and we cannot come out flat against the 49ers because they know us like the back of their hand, and we know their offense like the back of our hand. So we're going to see what happens. I don't want to see the pessimistic doom and gloom. Why are we going to face the 49ers? It's going to be automatic loss. Okay, that's fine. Even if it's a loss, it's a week 1 game. Week 1 games are the most up and down things in the NFL there is. Like, there's so many upsets. No, it's basically like it's like your first preseason game with all your starters. You guys are still implementing some of the offense and everything else. Like, they want to take away preseason games. So, just wanted to get your thoughts on that. But otherwise, awesome stream. Love you guys, especially with you and Green Bean. You guys are awesome. And
Appreciate
I'll
you,
talk
brother.
to you later.
Hey, we'll see you Thursday night, man. Have a good night.
Later.
Man, that was awesome. Listen, guys, I've been waiting for this for a long time. Dark Soldier has been one of my original supporters. When I had like 3 freaking subscribers, 3 subscribers on my channel. This will be the first time I've interacted with him virtually. My boy, Dark Soldier, man, how you doing, bro?
What's up, Gunny? How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing even better now. I get to finally interact with you, not just through text message or through the comment thread. You've been one of my OGs from the beginning, man. Like, it's good to have you on the show, bro.
No, yeah, definitely great content. That's why I reached out. But yeah, 1.5 subscribers, so that's awesome. You came a long way.
That's a long way, right? When you were here, it was 5.
Yeah, I remember because you had your fighter helmet
Yep.
on, and I was like, oh, I love this guy. But yeah, so
how you feeling, bro? How you feeling about this offseason?
I'm loving it. I tend to be more optimistic than I used to be. Just as I gotten older, that's just like how I go about life. So I initially with the schedule, I wanted like maybe Miami week 1, but since they said San Fran, I'm like, okay, well now they won't be tired. Won't be a short week traveling, across the country, which they never do well historically and all that stuff. So they have no excuse being tired or not being prepared and all that stuff. So why not take on the 49ers week 1?
Well, it's funny because Hawk asked us this question. Do you think the fact we're playing San Francisco week 1 will affect how much Rodgers will play in the preseason? We need to be all cylinders firing week 1. No room for tune-up games. I think AR. So do you think we're going to see a lot of Aaron Rodgers in the preseason, knowing that we have to face off against the 49ers in week 1?
I think that's a great question, Hawk.
It is a very
I don't think so, just basically because of his injury. So they might want to keep him off his feet, during like preseason games where he could get injured. But I don't know. That's just my take. Because he's 40 years old, so it's no rookie.
And if I'm being honest, Hawk, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I know there's a lot of people saying like, oh man, Aaron Rodgers is playing the 49ers. He's gotten his ass whipped against the 49ers. It's actually not true. In the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers has gotten his ass beat by the 49ers. But in the regular season, he's 6-3. 6-3, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like he knows this defense. He knows this team very, very well. He's got like a 105 QBR. Like Aaron Rodgers does not need snaps, right, to go ahead and play well against this team. But I would like him to get at least some walkthroughs in. Maybe not full out preseason games, but maybe some of those joint practices might be a nice benefit, right, where it's no contact to the QBs. I kind of want to have him get some of that rust kind of like busted off of him, right? I mean, the guy played 5 snaps for us, 5. And then we got new wide receivers he's got to build chemistry with, new running backs he's got to build chemistry with, a whole new offensive line that needs to all have to build chemistry with them. So I would like to see at the very least some walkthroughs, but I'm with Dark on this one, man. I don't know if they're going to risk playing him much in preseason because he's still coming off that injury. Just like we're not going to see Tyron Smith out there pretty much in the preseason. So I think they're going to rely heavily on his veteran background, right? His high IQ, his experience with this particular team. And we might just see him go ahead and do some stuff in walkthroughs, man. But I'm hoping I'm wrong. and we at least get him to see for at least a drive, right, in the preseason to kind of get, again, bust some of that rust off in the preseason
So,
before we get there.
sorry to cut you off. I just have a question
That's
towards
good.
Hawk. Like, if they were playing like Arizona or like a lesser strength team, does he think that he would no longer play preseason? Like San Fran, that's scary, where they're going to change their whole criteria. You know, it's hard to win in the NFL. So
it
I
is.
just think they prepare regardless of the team. Like, you know, that the other team has a chance to win. So
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie to you, man. So I was definitely team give us a softball for the first game, and I know that sounds like some bitch shit to say. I get that, I do, but in all actuality, we're coming off of our quarterback with an Achilles injury, 40 years old. He's going to have two brand new wide receivers he's got to build chemistry with, a whole new offensive line that needs to build chemistry with. We don't know if Morgan Moses is going to be 100% yet coming off the pec surgery. Mike Williams is coming off the ACL injury. Like, to me, I was just like, all right, let's go ahead and get like a nice little softball to kind of get these guys going. I wasn't expecting, potentially the second best team in the NFL to be the team that we're going to be playing against, opening up in their house for the season opener. But at the end of the day, Antwan was on earlier, man, and he made a lot of valid points. I think he stated like it's an NFC game. If we lose, we lose. It doesn't really impact the AFC trajectory. I mean, obviously it'll matter in the back end, but if you're going to lose your first game, it's good to lose to an NFC opponent. We already got the freaking Dolphins and Bills going against each other. I think it's week 2, so potentially a loss is going to be there anyway, and the AFC East guaranteed, right? So he kind of sold me a little bit, man, on you're facing off against a tough opponent. You get to really test your mettle against what this roster can be. I mean, again, you're not firing on all cylinders week 1, but I think it's worth saying, like, it'd be nice to kind of get an idea of what your guys can do in week 1 against an opponent like the freaking 49ers.
no, great point. I totally agree with that. So yeah, I'm excited. I mentioned Boy Green, like when he mentioned San Fran, because that's the team that he wanted. I was like, honestly, I don't care. I just want the season to start. Like, I'm just super excited.
Yeah.
And I feel like every year I say that, but I haven't been this excited for the Jets season to start
in a minute,
my entire life. But
I think, okay, so I'm with you on that, right? Like, I know and people tell me all the time, like, you say this every single year. I'm like, yeah, but this year is different. Yeah. You say that every single year. And I'm like, okay, you're right, I do. But in all actuality, this is the first time I look at my team and I look at it and I'm like, what a masterpiece. Like, what a masterpiece put together that we can go ahead and finally start seeing hopefully some results, right? And I was very adamant on talking about how injury being our biggest opposition. And then, of course, I did a video apologizing to y'all yesterday, breaking down that we do have the concerns at the OC position. But in all actuality, I think we saw a question from DKBX Jets, and he asked, and I think you answered it, Dart. He asked, like, have we ever seen a situation where a quarterback winds up having to be the OC and pretty much play both roles? And you brought up Peyton Manning with Adam Gase. Yeah. I thought that was a beautiful response to that, to highlight that a little bit, man. So let me put that question out there for DK, right? So the exact question was, I think he was asking this to Antwan. DK, my bad, man. Antwan was already gone by the time I got to this question, but we got you. Me and Dark are going to go ahead and answer this for you. Have you seen anything like our situation where our QB is essentially truly running the offense, and what are your thoughts on it? And yeah, you stated something that I thought was pretty awesome. You stated Peyton Manning with Adam Gase. Elaborate.
Yep. No, same thing with like Brady and Aaron. I feel like Aaron Rodgers, even though he had Nathaniel Hackett all those years, he was the one that was running it at the time. And I know, like, during the gold zone or whatever he calls it, Nathaniel Hackett. But I think, like, Aaron is at that point where he'll call what he sees, and we don't need, like, I could run the offensive coordinator, and the Jets will still do well. Just based on the roster. In my opinion, the previous gentleman, he had great points, but this is the best roster, in my opinion, I ever see for the Jets.
Without question.
That's just my opinion.
No, and I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I've gone as far as to say, in terms of on paper, like pound for pound, this is possibly one of, if not the best roster in the NFL. And people will say that's crazy. And I'm like, no, every time people talk about the Jets now, what are they saying? They're not saying, oh, the Jets suck or that this player sucks or that player. No, they're saying is y'all can't stay healthy. or you're the Jets, right? That's the argument now. They're not talking about how our players are trash. Like right now, we talk about the Bills. People are talking about how the receiving core is trash, right? People have a legitimate target to identify to talk shit about. When it comes to the Jets, this is it. Oh, Rodgers is gonna get hurt, or you're the Jets. Those are the arguments. Those are the arguments. The
It's weak
team, I
arguments.
think, they're beyond weak arguments. It's just people holding on to the past and hoping it repeats itself. But I love this roster, man. I agree with you. I haven't been this excited in a long time. I can't wait for the season to get here. But yeah, I mean, we gotta wait. You know, the training camp kicks off. The schedule release tomorrow, man. So if you had to guess who the opponent number 2 is going to be for the Jets, who would you think it's going to be?
No idea. Someone mentioned maybe, I forget who in the chat, maybe Miami. I have no idea. Literally have no idea. So I would just say like a divisional opponent.
Well, I don't think because Miami and Buffalo are going to be week 2, so then it couldn't be.
How do you know that already?
Yeah, they came out. They're going to have the Thursday night game.
Then
Yeah,
that's what
Miami
I
and
read,
Buffalo
then.
are going to
I
have the
misread.
Thursday night game. So it would be the Patriots if it was going to be a divisional opponent. But I mean, they're going to be on the West Coast.
like-
I'm hoping they stay on the West Coast and they just go to Arizona, right, and get that
That'd
out
be
of the way.
ideal. That'd be ideal. But I feel
Yeah.
like historically the Jets, maybe I'm wrong, play Patriots like towards the middle to end of the season.
Facts.
So that's why I don't think it would be week 2, but who knows? I literally have no idea.
Jake Asman that says something about how they rotate that back end game, right, for the division. And last year it was the Patriots. So this year, technically, it should be the Bills because we had the Dolphins the year before.
Correct.
So then, so it should be the Bills this year. So I've never even paid attention to that. But again, when you go back and look, and I'm like, that shit makes sense.
Point.
It's a very good point. So I mean, I hope that's the case. I would love the Bills on the back end of the season. But in terms of, in fact, you know what? Let me ask you this question, man. In terms of the AFC East, how do you feel the Jets stack up? What are your expectations for them within the division?
This is going to be a crazy take. Jets first, Miami second, Bills are coming in third, and then Pats fourth. And when people say Antwan was the gentleman's name, right? The guest?
Correct. Yeah.
When you said 10 wins, like if you think about it, last year we had 7. We didn't score a touchdown for 12 quarters straight. Like, no way going to happen. So just to think like only 3 games more, we're going to win with that compared to like Aaron Rodgers, I just think that's just crazy talk.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm with you, man. I agree. I think people forget that the New York Jets without quarterback play, man, won 7 games last year. They beat some playoff caliber teams. In fact, they beat teams that made it to the playoffs. They beat the Texans. They beat the Eagles. They beat playoff caliber teams.
Yeah.
Like
they should have beat Kansas City.
They should have beat Kansas City.
Refs.
They got the assist from the refs, right? Like, and you start looking at the matchups. 5 games were within 1 score. And we had the worst quarterback play in the league, man. Like
by far. Like it
wasn't even close. So you mean to tell me Aaron Rodgers, even as an average quarterback, doesn't net you a minimum of 3 games? Now you add the fact that you've added a Hassan Reddick to the defense. You add a Mike Williams. You bring in some help with the running backs with Breece Hall. The offensive line has an All-Pro on it, a Pro Bowl caliber right tackle. AVT might be help. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it. I think 10-7 is the floor. If I'm being honest with you, I think that is the floor for the Jets.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, I totally agreed with that. Yeah. And you think about like last season with Zach or worst quarterback play, every team's going to stack the box. Now they can't. Or they're going to get like burned out, you know? So it's going to be way different. The offense is going to just run way more smoothly and score a lot more points and be less predictable, especially with Aaron, you know?
And again, people don't forget the fact that Aaron Rodgers being back there is going to change what defenses are willing to do.
Exactly.
Like Garrett Wilson facing double teams and bracketed coverages is going to be kind of hard to do when Aaron Rodgers is back there and has Mike Williams or Malachi Corley or Conklin or Breece Hall out of the backfield to target. You're going to have to respect the pass, man. Like you're going to have to cover every blade of grass on the field. That's what Aaron Rodgers means. And if that's the case, I cannot wait to see what a guy like Breece Hall achieves when he's not facing stack boxes.
Of course,
When
yeah.
he has a legitimate chance to go ahead and get into the second level before he has to avoid contact.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the studs at running back we bring in after Breece Hall. Braden Allen, to me, I think, is going to be a monster, man. 20 years old. The dude is built like a freaking stone, a marble statue. A powerful guy. And by all indications, man, Isaiah Davis, I think, is also probably going to be a guy. I think our running back room is going to account for about 3,000 yards of total offense.
I'll
I
take that all
really
day.
believe 3,000 yards in total offense.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go on. I'm sorry.
I love what we've done, man. In Laxwide, I love the roster. I love the vision, and Aaron Rodgers being the captain of the ship, I think is going to go ahead and man, this season is going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think going back to Breece Hall, he's going to be top 3 running backs or players picked in fantasy football next year.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Top 3.
I'm targeting him
for sure. Yeah,
you're just saying that because you're in my league, so you're gonna. So now I'm gonna have to draft him with the first overall pick.
Yeah, I'll take him.
I mean, honestly, I think he's gonna eat. People think I'm ridiculous for saying this, but I actually think he's going to surpass Christian McCaffrey as the number 1 running back in football next year. I feel it in my gut. It's just gonna happen. Man, the Knicks are up by 21 points. Is that true?
Perfect.
Is that real? Hold on.
Check right now.
Ooh. How did he make that? My gosh. Wow. Yeah, that's facts.
19 points, but
it says 21 on mine. Nope, 20 points. Just me.
See, I'm 86-105, but
yeah, you're behind me. My bad. Anyway,
all right.
That's good
well,
stuff.
I appreciate you having me on. Awesome job with you and all your collabs that you've been doing. It's great to see you.
I appreciate you, brother.
And doing your thing. And I love your background. You have like the nicest memorabilia out there.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that, man.
I just want to personally say, like, the giveaways that you do, the best and like really like thoughtful. So thanks for that. I have my Garrett Wilson jersey that I won, but yeah, you have great giveaways.
Hey, man, appreciate you, man. There's more coming, man. I'm already talking to my guy, Gino, the Italy Jet. He's got a couple of things coming for me for next season for some more giveaways. But I'm glad, man. I'm glad you love it, man. Where's it at? You got it hanging up somewhere? You got it hidden?
No, it's in my room right now.
In your room?
I gotta get
cool.
I gotta get a case
frame for
and hang it. I'll hang it right there where that clock is. But all right, Gunny, thanks for having me.
You.
Great seeing you.
Seeing you, Dark Soldier, man. You have a good night, brother. Yeah, man, that was awesome. Dark Soldier, again, like I had 5 subscribers. 5. And I remember him commenting on a video, giving me pointers, talked about my audio, right, how to clean it up a little bit. He and I got real tight in that time frame. And before you know it, I exchanged him my number on a DM. And we've been chopping it up ever since. Like literally, Dark Soldier and I talk at least once a week. He texts me regularly. I text him. It's awesome to finally actually put a face, like a legitimate like engagement with Dark Soldier, man, because it's been over a year now. We've been talking since we haven't. We never have. But man, this was a fun show. I think the New Year. I think as Jets fans, man, we got a lot to be excited about. If I'm being honest, man, I look at where we've come. And again, Antwan, I appreciate you coming on the show and giving us your insight and sharing it with us, man. So he did mention about the cornerback situation that he'd rather take Reed. I don't know if it's just me, but I think I prefer MC2. If I had to pick between MC2 or DJ Reed, I think I want MC2, man. I don't know if I would go the DJ Reed route, only because slot corner to me is significantly more. I don't know. It's a more difficult position to go ahead and dominate, and he's a top 3, top 5 guy at worst in the league. So maybe for me, I'd keep MC2 and let DJ Reed go. If we could keep them both, even better. I would like to keep that trio together, but I would say that if I had my choice, I would go ahead and disagree. I would go with MC2 over DJ Reed. understanding his concerns about the interior defensive line and being able to stop the run is going to be key. We're talking about going up against San Francisco week 1. They've got the number 1 running back in football in Christian McCaffrey. We're going to get tested, man. I think we're going to get tested. But I feel good about it. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I've had time to process. I got a whole video coming out on Friday once the schedule release is done, breaking down how I feel about the layout. I'm going to keep my initial – I already filmed some of it, so I'm going to keep my initial reaction of how I felt in the video, and then I'm going to show you the transition of how I feel about it by Friday, having some time to actually kind of sit back and think about it. But we got to stop being scared. The New York Jets went out of their way to go ahead and bring Aaron Rodgers into the building for one reason and one reason only, right? It's to win a Super Bowl, to win a championship. For us to hide him, but in the locker room because we're afraid of him going up against potentially what could be a matchup in the Super Bowl if we were to get there, right? Against the San Francisco 49ers is insane. It's insane and, dare I say, kind of cowardly. I don't understand why we would go this route of bringing him here if we weren't going to utilize him. Right? It's like bringing a gun to the gun range and you decide to throw sticks at the targets instead of using the gun. It doesn't make any sense. So Aaron Rodgers versus Brock Purdy week 1. It's going to be a test, man. It's going to be a test. And I think at the end of the day, you know what? I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to give my predictions for that game. I think the New York Jets wind up starting off strong enough. I think Aaron Rodgers' familiarity with that team, with that defense and how they operate is going to be enough. And I think our defense is call me a homer. I think our defense is better. I think being able to get to go to Brock Purdy is going to be an impact on this game. And I think I saw some people bring up that he reminds them a lot of Tua in terms of being a timing quarterback, like a timed thrower, right? Anticipation thrower. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Brock Purdy can do a little bit more. I think he can go ahead and get outside of the pocket and get the ball downfield. And with guys like Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, it's going to be one hell of a match. But I like how our defense matches up with this offense. And I think our offense not having any tape for them to go ahead and study and prepare for is going to go a long way in catching that defense by surprise, and that's going to be the impact. The impact is going to be the fact that they don't have any tape on our offense, and they're going to get caught off guard, not knowing what to expect. I think that's going to be ultimately what changes the game in our favor, and the Jets wind up getting their first W of the season and kind of sending a message to a lot of the non-believers, right, about what the Jets are capable of. But listen, the Knicks are on. Everybody that came on to the show, I appreciate your time. Dark Soldier, man, it was absolutely freaking awesome, bro, to actually have you on the show and chop it up with you. That was great. Looking forward to having you on the show again. Can't wait for fantasy football to kick off because you're in that New York Jets sit rep fantasy football league with me. But listen, I'm going to be on the Jets Afterburner podcast show tomorrow night. So I'm going to be chopping it up with these boys. We're going to go ahead and talk about the schedule as it comes out. I believe we're kicking it off at 8 p.m. Eastern, or is it 9 p.m. Eastern? You can follow Just Afterburner Podcast on Twitter. It's on there. I apologize. I'm drawing a blank, but I want to say it's 8 p.m. for me, 9 p.m. Eastern. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the schedule unveiling, right? It's kind of like a holiday for us as Jets fans. So catch me on the Jets Afterburner podcast on Wednesday night. Then on Thursday night, the Thursday thick of it, we're going live again, and I'm pretty sure me and Green Bean are going to have a lot to talk about when it comes to this roster. Not the roster, the schedule release. But I appreciate y'all, man. 170 y'all chopping it up with me right now. The Knicks game is on. I'm going to go ahead and finish watching that with my son real quick. And yeah, man, let me make sure I didn't forget any good comments. So you guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys chopping it up. Another great episode, in my opinion, of the Hangar Hangout. And we're going to do it again freaking next week. And hopefully I get the yes from the guest that I want to bring on. You guys all know who this guy is, and I think you'll love it. So, yeah. Till next time. Go Jets.